Well, it's already been, as we noted yesterday, the longest full government shutdown in history. October 22nd marks another landmark. This is now the second longest government shutdown of any kind ever in the history of our country, and it's just shameful. Democrats keep making history, but they're doing it for all the wrong reasons. The contrast is the split screen, and I've referenced that at this podium a few times already. But I just think it's an important thing to point out, because that contrast between the two parties grows more glaring with each passing day. And you can look at all the evidence for yourself. There is, of course, a literal split screen every day. You've got Republicans and Democrats out all over the airwaves, burning them up, speaking directly to the American people. But you'll note that there's a key difference between the messages of the two sides. The Republicans are all repeating the same simple truth, and that is why that message is resonating with the American people, and that's what the polling indicates. At the same time, on the other side, the Democrats are doing their very best to obscure and create distractions from that simple truth. So the reason that we find it important to come out here every day and repeat again the same simple truth is because they're trying so hard to cover that up. But there's also a figurative split screen. There's a literal one, but it's figurative as well. And I just wanted to spend a moment this morning and talk with you about that. On one side, you have the Republican Party, the party that controls the White House, the Senate, and the House. We call that unified government. It's the party that won the popular vote in every single swing state and made deep inroads with voters new to the Republican base. And we received that mandate gratefully, and we went immediately to work. So since the election in November, just in the last 9.5 months of this Congress, which began in January, Republicans have delivered incredible results for the American people. And we could stand up here and spend an hour going through just the bullet points and highlights of all that, but we put a few on the handy chart over here. But just think of what's been accomplished in the last 9.5 months. A couple of things listed here. We passed the historic Working Families Tax Cut, one of the most landmark pieces of legislation ever passed by the U.S. Congress for the benefit of the American people. We slashed taxes for hardworking Americans, geared for the lower and middle class earners who needed that assistance. We cut hundreds of billions of dollars in fraud, waste, and abuse from government. We solved the border crisis. We are working now to solve the crime crisis in major cities around America. We strengthened Medicaid. We improved healthcare access, and we lowered premiums with our legislation. We have restored peace through strength, thanks be to God, and we are ending wars around the globe. And we've restored common sense to a government that sorely needed it. That's part of the mandate that was given to us by the American people in the fall. And most recently, we did our jobs, and we passed a clean, nonpartisan CR to keep the government open for the people. Now look on the other side of that figurative split screen as demonstrated here. The lights are out, it's all dark. Why? Because what the Democrats have accomplished in 9.5 months is a government shutdown. A couple other things sort of related to that. You know, they have made a lot of TikTok videos. We give them credit for that. They've also assaulted law enforcement officers. One of them's on trial for that. They've openly embraced and rallied with communists and socialists, most recently across the country on Saturday. They voted to raise taxes on millions of hardworking Americans at the worst possible time. They have voted against reducing fraud, waste, and abuse in government, and they have now voted, collectively, Democrats in Congress have voted 12 times to keep the government closed down. But it doesn't stop there. The Democrat shutdown is a glaring example of just how far the Democratic Party has strayed from common sense. Remember the simple truth here. It was over a month ago now that we passed the Republicans passed the clean, short-term, continuing resolution. It's nonpartisan. No gimmicks, no tricks, no riders, no partisan Republican policy priorities added to that. It's 24 pages in length, as we've discussed so many times, and it is very, very simple. Why? Because it was a very simple good faith effort on our part to preserve our ability to keep negotiating on the full-year funding bills. And, of course, the other big issues facing the American people. So we wanted to keep the lights on. But what did the Democrats do? Instead of receiving that, voting for it as they have always done in the past, they broke from history and they rejected that. And they offered a counterproposal. Ours was a clean CR. We call theirs a dirty CR, and you all know why. Because they added $1.5 trillion in new spending that would be a mandate, including hundreds of billions of taxpayer dollars for health care for illegal aliens, Go to page 57, section 2141 of what they filed. They want to restore funding for left-wing pet projects in foreign countries. And I've given you a list of some of the crazy things that they would include in that. $500 million for liberal news outlets like NPR and PBS on the backs of taxpayers, and the removal, remember, they wanted to eliminate the $50 billion that Republicans got signed into law by President Trump on July 4th to prop up our rural hospitals. And here's the kicker. The Democrats can't even agree on what they want right now. If you polled congressional Democrats on what it would take to reopen the government, you would not get a uniform answer. Every reporter in the room, by the way, should be asking them that question. Democrats put together this haphazard grab bag of crazy leftist policy proposals when they knew that it would not be agreed upon, and they knew that it was clear that Republicans were working to do the responsible thing and offer a clean CR to fund the government. That's our most basic job here. In their desperation now, they're trying their very best to somehow blame Republicans for the forthcoming health care crisis that they themselves created, by way of just very quick review, for the record, because they're trying to obscure this as well. Let's remember the true origins of the boondoggle that is American health care under Obamacare. Democrats wrote that bill. They passed it into law without a single Republican vote. During the COVID pandemic, Democrats created temporary Obamacare credits, again, without a single Republican vote. Democrats then voted to extend those credits. They set the expiration date on it. And then when they held the majority in the Senate, it was Democrats who chose not to extend those credits beyond this year. Now, as we approach their own self-imposed expiration date, now they are breathlessly insisting to you, and on all the interviews, that somehow it's a Republican crisis. Give me a break. The facts are the facts. We are up here sharing the simple facts and truth. And as John Adams said, facts are stubborn things. Democrats are the ones who manufactured this entire situation without a single Republican vote, and now, when the chickens are coming back home to roost, they're trying to blame the other team. It is utter nonsense, and you should call them on it. That's the job of the press, and continue to do that every single time. Clearly, this is a complicated issue, this whole healthcare subsidy thing, and there's hundreds of different views on it, as I've explained. So Republicans cannot and will not solve it in a backroom deal. Chuck Schumer has been suggesting that 4 leaders should go into a smoke-filled back room like they used to do in the old days and create this solution. It's not a possible thing to do. It was never appropriate. It's not possible to put on a continuing resolution because it's such a complex issue. Issues of this magnitude deserve deep thought and deliberation. That's how this system works here. And as soon as Chuck Schumer reopens the government, all of our members will have an opportunity to engage in the very important discussion of how to make Obamacare affordable. But we won't engage in Democrats' hostage-taking, nor will we pay a ransom. We certainly won't engage in their unserious proposals as long as Democrats continue to act like unserious lawmakers. I'm just going to say this morning, enough is enough. With us today with the leadership team are 2 leaders in Congress. One is Chairman Bruce Westerman of the Committee on Natural Resources. And we also have with us Congressman Mike Simpson, who's our lead appropriator for the Department of the Interior, which funds and oversees our beautiful national parks. Both are here today to share an update on how this shutdown impacts all those operations. But I'll note, as I bring Chairman Westerman up first, that when President Obama shut down the national parks and the National Mall in 2013, it was a real hardship for the American people. And the Trump administration is trying to handle this differently. They've gone to great lengths as much as they can to protect Americans' access to our national parks, while Democrats continue to hold government funding hostage. They'll have more to share on that, the experts on the subject, and I'm happy to bring them up now. Thank both these gentlemen for their hard work. I'll turn it over to Chairman Westerman. Yeah, bud.
Thank you, Speaker, and good morning, everyone.